Hey guys, welcome to the Investor's Guide of Memphis Real Estate. I'm your host, Dean Harrison. As always, I'm with Douglas Skipworth. How are you, buddy?
Hey man, doing great.
We're bringing you this podcast to give you the boots on the ground knowledge to be a successful real estate investor here in Memphis, Tennessee. Please like and subscribe to the Investor's Guide of Memphis Real Estate on Spotify, YouTube channel, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast. Show sponsors are listed on your screen below. We would not be able to run our business, rental businesses, or do this podcast without these partners. Triumph Construction, River City Title, Cortland Financial, CrestCore Property Management, and Will Griffin with Griffin, Clift, Everton, and Mashmeyer. I help buyers and sellers every day. If you guys have any questions, you want to get on our buyer profile link and get on that buyer distribution list, send me an email, dean@crestcore.com. I can help you sell that investment property too. Man, last week's podcast, Making Offers Isn't Scary, was good.
Really good.
we really, in my opinion, hit home on some good topics there. If you guys didn't catch last week's, it's on all the pages and stuff. But yes. Making Offers Isn't Scary. We've had good response from that. So today we're going to talk about how we scaled our rental businesses to 100 plus rentals a piece. You and I have a large portfolio. We don't usually get into a lot of these numbers, but disclosing that to our audience today, I think is good, because what we're going to tell you, as soon as we tell you all about great information about we own over 100 houses a piece, we're going to tell you about all the massive mistakes that we've made, how to scale and get to 100, and how basically we got to this point. I feel like a boxer who's been about 9 or 10 rounds with it. I ain't going to lie to you, right? Yeah. I feel anyone that has said that this would be easy is uneducated and hasn't been through this. It's not easy. It's hard work. We're not splitting the atom hard, but it's long, hard, consistent attention to detail work. Yeah. And I meant what I said. I felt we were a 12-round boxing match. I'm in the 9th round in the 3rd minute, right? Yeah. 4th minute. So it's like but I am feeling ahead of the fight, right? I feel good. I feel confident, but I have been through a boxing match. Yeah. Right? Yes. To get to this point, I think you would agree.
Yeah, of course.
So mistakes. Let's start off with a few of those, and then the very kind of at the end here, I'll get to where like kind of how we did it and how it's, in my mind now, easier than I ever thought, right? Okay. I'm kind of in that, I say I'm in a boxing match and I've felt it, and I do have some bruises for it, but I'm still fighting. Right. Throwing a good punch and I feel good. So there's some give and take to that. But, mistakes, learning on the hard way about how to build and how to scale. I bought way too many houses early that were tenant occupied and assumed, like an idiot, that the tenants, they were going to be in pretty decent shape, right? Yeah. Won't need a ton of rehab. I'll be able to swing that. And I got Douglas, I'm just kind of dumping my biggest mistake, but I got up to 10 or 11 of them at the very beginning that I did not burr, that I just bought, and they were tenant occupied. And yes, cash flow came in. And for the first 6 months or so, that I had the full 10, everything was pretty good. Rent's coming in. Hey, Dean, we got so-and-so's not going to renew their lease. Ooh, that's early. I thought I might get a couple of years out of this. Okay, let's see what's going on there. They moved out. There was no easing into this negativity. They moved out. It was $26,000. Yep. To get it in rent-ready shape. Yes. And I thought to myself, you have got to be kidding me. Where and what were they living in? Of course, and I went over there to it, right, and saw it. But we needed it. Yep. There wasn't any doubt about it. So I repeated that unfortunate process several times with those. Lots of cash out of pocket, a lot of headaches, a lot of wondering what the hell I was doing. This was under 10. This is 6, 7, 8, 9, right? Getting up to 10 and 11, but this is 6, 7, 8, 9 territory. Wondering what happened. Why is that? I've got to do something different. Mistake number 1. Yeah. Buying the wrong way and using the wrong strategy from the very beginning and not really knowing, right? Like I didn't know it. I didn't have somebody that came to me and said, I have some people that told me about it and showed me how to do it, but I had nobody that came to me and said, hey, that's the wrong way to do it. Right. Don't do that. Yeah. Do it this way. Yeah. I had to kind of figure it out for myself, which is why we do this podcast, and I'll tell you guys all about this.
No, I think you're right, because I've seen a similar situation with stuff I've purchased that was tenant occupied, got it at a really good deal, and let's say put it on a 15, 20-year mortgage. Yeah. Let's say a 15-year mortgage. Which is great.
That's what I
Awesome.
did.
Awesome, right?
Yeah, that's
awesome.
what I did
Sounds
too.
so great. And even if you can eke it out for 15 years, guess what happens? You have to redo everything after 15 years. It needs a new roof. It needs new windows. The driveway's messed up. Oh, not to mention, you need to kind of update the bathroom and the kitchen now. The HVAC's gone out. The water heater's gone out.
Yeah.
Not to mention plumbing and electrical if you didn't upgrade the plumbing or electrical at the time. So it's like you've basically, you're burring a property 15 years after the fact. And you're starting over. And you're starting over.
Here's another way to take
Yeah.
that. You're burring a property for 15 years instead
Yes.
of 45 days.
Right.
Think about it that way.
That's a fair, yes, because you're doing this, and then next month you're doing that, and then a couple years from now you're doing this.
You're burring for 15 years.
Yeah.
Because you're fixing stuff as you go and as you go and as you go. And at the end of the day, it all needs to be done again. You're burring, and then you got to do it again.
And the problem with that is you're having to do it out of cash flow. And so you can't borrow that money because you already locked in on a monthly payment on a fixed mortgage.
Man, I mean, like you should have seen my head. I mean, I after 6, 7, 8 of those doing that.
Yeah.
Hey, Dean, there's another vacancy.
I'm still dealing with that stuff, man.
Oh,
on houses that are that.
If you could take my bird deals
Yes.
and my regular and put them side by side, that's two different kids.
Yes.
It's two different things.
It's two different kids.
And the way that we bought them and the way that we did it, it was just completely different. All right, so those are some of the mistakes about how the strategy entering into this I did the wrong way.
Yeah.
You should enter into this burring.
Yes.
Or if you're able to pay cash or whatever you can do, don't enter in buying a bunch of occupied single family homes without expecting there to be a massive rehab when they move out. Now, if you want to budget and save the cash
Correct.
and
There
you're
you go.
planning,
There you go. Or have some, or refinance, or do some way where you're gonna be able to finance that money, or because you can't afford it out of cash flow. It's killer.
Yeah.
And I think you have to be intentional about it. I know the kind of the reverse of the mistakes is that you have to be intentional. I can't tell you how many people I've seen get 100. Getting 100 is not hard. What have we always said? Buying a house isn't hard.
Yeah.
Occupying a house isn't hard.
No.
Paying for a house, keeping a house, that's hard. Talk about the people who kept 100. You know people who've built a massive portfolio and then scaled it back or sold it and kind of kept with it. Similarly, putting a tenant in there is not hard. It's collecting the monthly rent that's hard.
You got that right.
So I think you have to understand, because of the way you described it as a boxing match, as a marathon, it's an endurance. So you have to know why you're doing it. There's got to be something compelling you to keep going and to build this. Because if you're just wanting to get to 100, that's easy. You can go get to 100, buy a bunch of properties.
And be broke.
And sell them and say, man, I used to own 100.
Be broke.
But if you want to build a bulletproof fortress kind of portfolio that grows in value over time, producing cash flow that pays for itself, you've got to be strategic about it, and you have to continue to learn every day.
And I'm here to tell you that I don't have that portfolio, and neither do you. We don't have an ironclad thing that's built.
That's fair.
We're telling you how to do it differently than we did, so you can have one.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't have
good.
one. I'm still cleaning up some messes.
I'm always cleaning up messes, man.
Yeah.
I'm cleaning up.
I'm doing one right now.
Constantly cleaning.
On the way over here. Yeah. So, I mean, it's constant, but you can avoid some of these mistakes. All right. Now, let's talk for a second about how we did that.
Okay.
And then we'll get into parts of that how. But I used a line of credit.
Same.
Okay. I used, there's several ways you can get one. I went to my bank and I asked them for $150,000 so I could do a burr. And they looked at my 8, 9, 10, 11 rentals that I had and were like, oh, okay, you're making that work. They clearly didn't know the whole story beforehand.
Yep.
Oh, you're making that work. Okay, Dean, we'll you have some equity here. We'll lean on that a little bit. We'll give you that 150. So then I just started to burr. And then after I burred that 4 or 5 times, that 150, meaning just turning it over for the bank, I asked for 250. So I could maybe do 2. Then I could fit 2 small ones in there, and I showed them that I could do that. Long story real short, built that up to now I over $1 million at a couple of different banks that we can go burr and we can go do anything with, right? Yeah. So that line of credit you can get from your bank, you can get it privately.
Yep.
Family members oftentimes can't make what they would charge you in the open market. If they have some extra cash, they can do that. HELOCs, home equity line of credit, you can obtain one there.
Yep.
But the easiest way, in my opinion, is, start you an LLC and go to the bank that you bank at
Yes.
and tell them what you're doing. Sometimes there's some rules and regulations where they have to loan you the money, right? There's small business loans and different things like that you can maybe work on. So there is a way to obtain that line of credit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
yeah,
I bird. I
absolutely.
bird right at that 11, 12 number. I obtained the line of credit, and I was like, I'm not doing that anymore, right? I almost sold them even.
Yeah.
Fought it and held on to them. And you know what they are now?
Yes.
Highest producing cash flow properties I got because I rebuilt them all. So literally
That's good.
over the last 6-7 years. So, but the point is, lines of credit, I bird over and over again and over and over and over again. And, that's how I was able to scale. I mean, and you can get 2 or 3 different banks to give you that line of credit and just hit them one at a time. And that's what I did.
Yes. I mean, I couldn't, I don't know how you could do it without a line of credit or a hard money lender, which is like a line of credit, where they're going to loan you the purchase price. Kind of like Orland, they're going to loan you the purchase price. They're going to loan you the fixed hab.
Yeah.
Then you're going to go burn it.
Yeah.
But that's the same thing as using your own cash.
Yep.
But your cash might be tied up in your
Whatever.
investment account. It might be tied up in your personal residence.
Yep.
It might be, you might have like you said, a family member who's got an investment account or got a paid for house, and that they are willing to work with you on some of that. And we've seen that time and time and time again. It's a great way to do it.
So you heard our mistakes. You learned how we actually did it. Another key part of this that it maybe is just as big and as important as everything is our vendor partners. Our business partners is likely, I guess you have to put it under how you're going to pay for them, because if you can't pay for them, then you don't get to your vendor partners. But right up under how you're going to pay for them is your vendor partners, your property management team here at CrestCore, your Triumph Constructions who own real estate and own rentals and do all your stuff there. Your Corlin Financials who can help you in times that you need to borrow money quickly and get in and out of a deal. There's Will Griffin, those guys in April that River City Title that are going to assure that your stuff is recorded properly. I'm here to tell you, the vendor partner part of this is huge, if not bigger. I mean, think about when you burr. Because I just told you how much I love to burr. Well, what's the biggest part of a burr? Is a construction.
The rehab.
So if you don't have a trustworthy vendor partner to do that, there's where I'm coming at. Like if you break it down into all areas, you got to have a good agent sourcing your deals.
Ding, ding, ding.
You've got to have, once you do that, you've got to have the right title companies to close them, to record them properly, because you're not here.
That's right.
It's a mail away closing.
Yep.
You got to have the right, and right then now you got to have the right contractors to get that thing in good shape. You got to have the great people at property management to get it rented for you.
Yep.
And so on and so on. So your vendor partners have got to be the most key thing. We did a podcast about 6 months ago on Build Your Team.
Yeah.
I'll bring that back up, and maybe we do that again. But Build Your Team in real estate is one of the biggest keys to me, because you can't. I will say this: you can't own 100 properties without some key partners.
And that's where I'm going in a minute. You can't own 100. You've worked with a ton of people. We've worked with thousands of buyers, thousands. A handful. On one hand, probably are cash buyers. The overwhelming majority, 99%, are financial leverage. Yeah. They're using money, borrowed money.
Yep.
It's the same concept of leveraging other people. Mm-hmm. Like you think about it, like 99% of people who are buying real estate are using financial leverage. Mm-hmm. 99% of you who are listening need to be using people leverage. Property managers, agents, contractors. So many people try to self-manage, try to find all the deals themselves, try to GC themselves from afar.
They fail. 100% of the time, that person does not succeed. They buy 1 or 2 or 3, and they drown.
It's 1 in 100 that can do that. That's my point. 1 in 100 can pay cash.
Yeah.
1 in 100 can do that. I'm not that 1 in 100.
I'm not either.
And so chances are you're not that 1 in 100. So don't fall for the mistake of self-managing that I fell for, trying to GC stuff, trying to
do everything yourself.
Rent it yourself.
Are you capable?
Find the deals yourself.
You're capable, but not if you're going to scale a business to 100 plus properties, which is what we're talking about today. Consistency. One of the things too, after you built your vendor partners and all that, the consistency for me, and I know for you, because you've been buying much longer than I have. The consistency of never bowing out. I'm never not a buyer.
Yeah, always looking.
There's never a period where I've said out loud, hey, I'm not buying right now. I might be buying different deals right now.
Yeah.
But I'm never shutting the door.
Right.
Why would you ever do that? Never. Because you can pass deals that you might have bought prior. Sure. Send them off. That's what I'm telling you too, like in last week's podcast about that buyer profile link that we do. You just get every house we send out if you want to. You don't have to have parameters on it. Dean, send me everything. I want to be a spreadsheet, king. Okay, cool. But so the consistency is there. I have never bowed out and said I'm not buying since I started. Right? My abilities have slowed down.
Sure. Yeah, there are times where you throttle up, throttle back.
Yeah. And my capability, my capacity has been down. I can't handle any more burrs. I'm doing 3 or whatever it might be. I got to slow down. So that might, but I'm never not a buyer. I think I'll probably be buried a buyer. Because even if I retire and I'm out of it, if you call me and it's a deal, hell, I'm going to buy it. I'll be a buyer when I'm buried. You like that, don't you?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I'm thinking about your tombstone.
But I mean, that's the truth. A buyer.
Always a buyer.
Always buying. So, I mean, the consistency to stay in it and stay with it and be there during keeping, when I say consistency too, like what does that mean? Keeping up with the market and the rates, keeping up with the trends, talking to your agents and vendor partners and figure out what's going on. Have your thumb on the market. Are you buying for 4 months? Maybe not. But you know what's going on, It's like you're at a party and you're drinking. Are you drinking every second? No, I'm going to chill for a second. Yeah. But you don't leave the party. It's like, hey, we're all hanging out. It's like, I'll have one later. Same thing. Stay in the party. And we'll get a drink later. We'll buy a house later on. That's what I mean. So
that's good.
Staying consistent with your team and your communication and your drive and your buying.
Better.
It will only get better.
Yeah, I mean, focusing on that one thing, I think that to me a little bit goes back to the beginning of like, you got to be committed to this. There are plenty of people we've seen come and go.
Yeah,
I'm going to buy 100. I'm going to buy 100.
Yeah,
or whatever your number is. I'm going to get 50 houses. 100 is just a number.
Yeah,
I'm going to buy 10 houses, and they're not really committed to it. It's like, I mean, we kind of, it's like, how many people who make over $1 million? A lot, a few. Adjusted gross income.
Yeah, few. I don't think I have a lot of those.
How many of those people have? Just how many people do you know who luckily make who make $1 million? None.
I don't know anybody that's lucked into $1 million job.
I don't.
I know no one.
Yeah, or who's lucked into 100 houses.
No.
Yeah. You
don't luck into these situations. You got to work and drive and stay consistent.
Yeah.
You have to stay in this. It's not hey, I'm going to buy for 2 years and then come back out of it and then buy. I'm going to wait 2 years. No, you won't. You'll never be back. You'll end up with those. You'll get tired of them, and you'll sell them.
And you'll sell them, but you have to be committed to it, just like those folks who are making. I mean, it's a commitment.
This was about how we scaled our businesses to 100 plus rentals. This isn't a boasting podcast. This is we hesitated a little bit on some of that, but what I wanted to do is to show how far down the road we are, the mistakes that we made, and how we got to this point. And that's really what I've based this entire podcast about. Right, the mistakes that I've made, where I'm at, what has happened here in Memphis, what we've learned, and this is just another one. Yes, both of us have gotten to that accomplishment. Some people can look at that different ways because the guy that owns 25 free and clear might be in a much better boat than I am, owning over 100. So it's all a relative thing, right? What the point I wanted to bring this up today was to show you that when you speak to me on the phone and when you listen to this podcast, you're getting information from two people in Memphis that have been here for a while, have enough experience and enough depth in our rental market to tell you what to do, what not to do, and things and areas to stay away from, and just and how to be there. Am I the best at this? Absolutely not, right? Like I'm not the best real estate investor that there is. But my point to telling you is that we've learned a ton, and I've made mistakes, and what I've done on this podcast is share them. So that was the point today, is to get this message out about how we got to this point, how we're maintaining it. I just told you I'm in the 9th round of a 12-round fight. I'm gonna hang up this, but we're gonna get off this podcast, and I got stuff to do today for the rental. So
man, always.
It's just part of it. I thought it would be educational, and I hope
good. Yes.
Anything else to add?
Awesome.
Dean at CrestCore.com. If you guys have any questions about any listings, you want to get on our buyer distribution list, I'll send you that link you can fill out. Dean at CrestCore.com. Thanks.